September 18th regular meeting with a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming and taking the time out of your day. And we'll start with a roll call.
Mrs. Hoover? Dr. Krug?
Here.
Mrs. Krug? Here. Mr. Krumenacher?
Here.
Mrs. Krumenacher? Here. Mrs. Lieb? Here. Mr. Shell? Mr. Basil? Ms. Zinchuk? Here.
Okay, doesn't look like any guests or patrons have shown up, so we'll go into the administrative report. Superintendent is away this week, so we'll go right to Mr. Branch.
Here.
You guys want to just pass those around?
Did you need one?
If there's an extra.
Let's give one.
Well, I got mine. Good? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a little bit more detailed this month because I wanted to go a little bit into where we stand on the project and the projections, how much we've spent. But we'll start off with the treasurer's report that was part of the packet as far as the funds go in the general fund. Our beginning cash balance was $886,386. Again, this is just in the First National Bank accounts. Our total receipts for the month of August were $852,171. That's local sources. The state and federal sources were $1,967,419. Our miscellaneous revenues were $5,502.56, and we had a $750,000 transfer from our Pliget account. Total available was $4,400,000. Our disbursements were $2,084,076, and we also transferred $2 million into the Pliget accounts, which leaves us with an ending cash balance in our general fund of $377,403. Now, the next thing that I want to get into is the handout, the colored handout. It's just our Pliget accounts. I've submitted that to all the board members via the email, but because that ties into the next portion that I want to get into, I'll go over that real quick. The general fund Pliget balances, and these are all at the end of August, was $3,925,272. The capital reserve is $847,589. The athletic fund is $138,118. The Series 2022 bonds, total in that account is $7,374,763, and the total amount in the 2023 bonds is $9,881,697, with that being a total of $22,167,441. Dividends earned for the month of August were $84,104. So let's flip to page 2, and what I want to do here is just to apprise the board of where we stand on our consolidation project and how it tied into what we originally had submitted to you guys as an administrative team to let you know where we felt we were going to be. So what I've done on page 1 here is just go through with each payee that we've paid from July of 21 up until Friday. So in that entire summary, we had spent $9,239,480. I broke that down into hard and soft costs. The hard costs naturally being the contracts as you see in the middle of the pages, and the soft cost, we had some contracts that we or fulfilling with those costs. We also had some soft costs at the beginning of the project that really weren't contracted. They were just items that we had to spend. So as you can see, the total hard costs were 7.5 million. Total soft cost paid so far is 1.65 million. Now, going down the hard cost contracts, if you look at the original contract amount, it was $25,279,000. You flip to the next page, the one I have a little circle around from October of 23, and you can see that's the same amount. The totals there were basically what the bids were for, just the bids. So the 25,279, the first light blue line shows that amount. So that hasn't changed. That is our original contract. What has changed is the change orders that I've listed in the next column. So as of Friday, the ones that have been put on those the invoices that we get from the contractors, they were $292,000 of additional costs. So that takes us to the adjusted column. And if you look at the pay to date, that amount, the 7.5 million, ties in with what we paid for the hard costs up above. So what I've done there is to try to show the board how much we have left to pay as of 9/13. So the balance of those contracts are $17,984,000. The soft costs, same thing. The original costs are listed. The amounts paid to date is the 1.417 million. However, if you look up at the soft costs at the top, that doesn't match because there's some of those costs up there that aren't highlighted in yellow, which are not contracted. Those were just one-time things. We paid for the inspections, we paid for water permits, and so on and so forth. So what we are obligated to pay in the future on those soft cost contracts is $622,791. So if you add those two amounts up, the 17 million from the hard cost contract and the 600,000 for the soft cost contracts, we're now liable from this point forward for $18,600,000. So what does that all mean as far as how are we going to pay for that, or where's that money going to come from? You flip to the next page, and again, page 2 with the red circle, that's just to show you that nothing's changed from a year ago. We're still, the soft costs have changed because what I showed you there was what we owed at that time, but as far as the contract amounts, those have not changed. We want to go to then the last page, and I've updated the drawdown schedule so that we can see where we're at and how the money's going to come through. So if you look at the gold colored amount there, the $4,249,000, as you can see from page 1, those red circled items are those same amounts there. We have $847,000 that's coming from our capital reserve, Pliget. We have $3,374,000 in our, again, this is just our prime accounts, which are the total liquid accounts in Pliget. That's $3,300,000, and the third item is the 2023. The prime account there is $26,000. So liquid funds available right now in Pliget is $4.2 million. So I start that off in column 5 with the balance of all funds. We also have in Pliget, if you look on the last column on the right, these are term products that are coming due specifically on the dates listed. There's 2 in November and 1 did come due right at the beginning of the month. Those are the actual maturity values of the term products which include the interest that will come with them. So I wanted to use those numbers because that will be the amount that will influx and come into our accounts on those specific dates. So if you start off with the 4.2 million in column 5, we see what happened here in September. We spent $2.2 million on expenditures this month. We also had 5 million of the term product come into our account, and we earned interest of 18 million. Now, that interest column, I'm using a 5.25% multiplier up until the beginning of the year, then I'm dropping it to 5. I don't know what the interest rates are going to be. That's conservative as of now. Who knows what's going to happen once the election comes along. However, we are currently at almost 5.4% on our interest earnings at Pliget, so these are, if they hold true for the next few months, they're going to be understated. So again, these numbers should be conservative. So what's that all mean? You go down through each month. I don't really know what the drawdown is going to be. We just come up with those numbers to say, okay, here's what we're going to spend on an average basis for the remaining portion of the construction period. And if you look, that entire column comes up to $18,985,000. What that allows for is the difference in what we have, which is the 18 million, or I'm sorry, what we owe, which is on page, the last page, the 18,607,000. It shows that we can, with what we have right now, afford to pay an additional, whatever that works out to. I should have totaled that. 985 minus 607. So it's 270-some thousand dollars above and beyond what we've already spent. So if you add the amount that's shown as net change orders, we already spent $292,000, which includes the doors. We have an additional $270-some thousand available to spend above and beyond what we've spent already, and we won't have to put another dime into the capital reserve account from our general fund. So we should be good through this year as well as the beginning part of next year. So all in all, it's a good projection. The investments have helped. I try to watch to make sure we have those monies working at all points in time, and I don't think there's any concerns, at least at this point, that we'll have funds to finish the project. One of the things that was discussed with the contractors is the typical change orders that happen, and Hank can back this up. We don't know for sure here, but change orders usually take place mostly up into the point where we've had now. So, that's where all the new stuff's happening, trying to tie into the old building and whatnot. So, knock on wood and keep our fingers crossed that we won't have an additional $275,000 worth of change orders, and that funds would be able to go towards some other capital work that we need, or whatever. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
When do we start our payments for the bonds?
We have already.
Okay, but when do we really start the payments? Because you're usually
We have already.
the earliest. The earliest ones are smaller than when we get into our day.
No, we're set on, at this point, the bond payments that we are making right now are the same throughout. In other words, we're not going to have a large amount of a higher payment in future years. I think this year it works out to around $1.3 or $4 million, and that's what we are paying at this point.
Is that over 2 payments or 1?
Well, we pay twice a year.
Right. So,
Interest is twice a year, and in principal is once a year.
anybody else? Okay. Okay. Minute approval. Be it resolved, the minutes of the August 6, 2024 Committee of the Whole, August 12, 2024 special meeting, and August 20, 2024 regular meeting are approved as presented and filed, and I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
So, Mr. Jerry Krimenacher, any questions or comments?
Excuse me.
Any questions or comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, guys, patrons, if you guys don't have a copy of the agenda, it's over here. We will not be reading all of them, so you can do that, okay? We'll just read the beginnings and that will be it, okay? Okay, Treasurer and Financials Report, you have that in front of you. Roland just went over a lot of that for us. Anybody have any questions? Sorry, I'll make the motion first. Second, Mrs. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments on any of that? All in favor? Anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, we will not need an executive session, and we will not need to resume from one tonight, so we're just gonna skip over those. The enrollment report, the only one to tell you is we have now dipped below the 800 student for the first time, I believe, in our history. So, it just continues to go down, guys. Okay, we're at 793, according to the thing. Buildings and grounds, Access Architecture update. Hank, do you have anything for us?
No, I'm here, if there's any questions about any of the couple of change orders that are there, I'm here to answer.
Do you have anything for them right now? Till we get there? Okay. Change order, Leonard S. Fiore. It's in front of you in the amount of $8,918.87 for general construction work with the ceramic tile patch room in B119 and B23.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Carroll. So Mrs. Norm Curran. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, change order for, this one is involved, the change order to Leonard S. Fiore in the amount of $7,433.91 for the construction work in B103, B104, B126, and B131. Motion by Mrs. Mark Krimenacher, second by Mrs. Carol Lieb. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, change order to K&K Plumbing. This is a change order for K&K Plumbing in the amount of $4,000 for the plumbing construction work in B103, 104, B126, and B131. Motion by Mrs. Mark Krimenacher,
I'm sorry.
second by Mrs. Carol Lieb. Any questions or comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, now I asked the superintendent to put this item on the agenda because we continue to have problems, even though they had fixed them in the thing. So, and Jeff had stopped up just now to give us an update, and it looks like a few things are gonna need replaced. So he asked us to do this in an amount not to exceed, what was it, $5,000?
$5,000, yeah.
$5,000, okay? So, this is for the sound system at the football field, okay? So I will make that motion. Second by Mrs. Carol Lieb. Any questions or comments on the sound system? Go ahead, Jen.
First, I know Mr. Smith has worked really hard, and his team has, so I thank them for that. But also, do we have any idea how long it's going to take to fix this?
Well, they're putting in a temporary one for this weekend.
I just, yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy from Baltimore up doing that,
Very good.
so,
Okay,
okay.
so we'll be good for Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what he told us just now.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So is
Okay.
5,000 allowed enough to?
5,000, he said 5,000 should be more than enough for a ceiling,
Okay.
okay? Okay. Questions or comments other than that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, Business and Finance, the GASB 75. The Board of Education approves the GASB 75 disclosure expense report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, as per appendix 1. I'll make that motion. Second by Mrs. Mark Krimenacher. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, the E-rate contract funding for year 28, 25, 2026 between North Canby District and Epic Communications Incorporated, who will be paid 10% of the amount we purchased through the E-rate funding. I'll make the motion for that. Second, Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Good. All right, PCCD grant. The Board of Education approves expenditures in the new PCCD grant number 44621. Now, you guys can see all those in front of you.
Just good.
I'll make the motion first. Any questions, or anybody second it?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Questions or comments?
I did.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Okay, I see that these are listed out, and Dr. Fasonic had mentioned last time, we can change these at any time, Toby, because you verify that.
Correct, yep.
So we haven't voted on the therapy dog just yet, but I know she has line item these is how we want to spend this PCC grant. But I just want us to keep in mind that we can change this.
I'm hoping we can, right? We can change how we want to spend
That's my
it.
understanding, yes.
I
I just think you should be clear to the superintendent, your approval of this isn't authorizing her to spend it this way.
Right.
Okay, then, okay, approval of this is in,
As long, I just don't want there to be
this shows she knows that this
Yeah.
is not how the final spending will be,
It's,
based on our decisions later on. Go ahead, Mom.
Yeah, with the therapy dog, I did some research since the last meeting. We do have a dog at, it can come to us at any point in time. It's from our county. They'll bring it here. It comes with a master, a person who accommodates with this dog, accompanies it to our school if we need it. And it's free of charge, and we haven't even reached out to try to use it, but it's through the REACH program, through our county. And I have those contact names if we need to get in touch with them, because that would save us the cost, but also comes with a person who knows what they're doing and how to use the dog.
Anybody else?
Do we
And it's free of charge.
No,
So
no.
we do not need that
I
therapy
think
dog.
this has to be done by the end of September to get this grant, if I
Yeah,
remember
do we,
right, okay?
do we rewrite it
Can-
if that's not in there,
The way those grants work is you can apply for the grant with anything in it as long as the, you know, when the board should get the original grant and approve it. If they decide they want to change it, all it takes is an amendment to the grant. So the board could, let's say the board chooses no therapy dog and they want to replace it with something else. Well, then 5 months from now, they say, well, what we wanted to replace it with is not, doesn't make sense now. Go ahead and make an adjustment to the thing. I think the important thing here is to just, you know, approve the filing of a PCC grant with the ultimate authority of the board to allocate how the funds are going to be spent within the account codes.
Yeah, just some of these on here have not been approved by the board yet, so this is just for filing purposes as far as.
This is just to get the money.
Okay, all right,
Can we have it put in the minutes that it's for
Yeah.
filing
we
purposes?
just, I think we just did,
Okay,
just, didn't we, by this
put it in there 2
discussion?
more times.
Yeah, I think we did,
right.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay. Common sales and service, this is to pay for generator repairs at the high school, $4,879.12. I'll make that motion. So Mrs. Carol Lee, any questions or comments on that? All in favor? Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, Dar Construction, this is for the construction of replacement of 2 oil pump motors of an amount of $4,982.47 for the oil furnace at the elementary middle school. I'll make a motion on that. Second on Mr. Jerry Krumnacher. Questions or comments? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, the IGS Energy contract, I've been asking about this for the last 2 meetings. As you can see though, this is for a 35-month term, and this starts in February of 2025 because the old contract runs through the end of January of 2025. And it is down 1 penny from last year, which is about $1,300 a month per school. Okay, that's what 1 penny amounts to on the supply. I did the math on that, so maybe that brought something on it, but it would have been nice to know what Penelec's supply cost would have been to be able to compare it. But at 6.55 cents a kilowatt, I don't know if we're going to do better than that.
There,
So.
I did get a printout or from Penelec. Now, the difference is that they, not everybody does a 3-year contract. You know, the items can be, the ones that you can check right now online are anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to, you know, there was a few others on there that were 36-month contracts, but they were not as low as the 6.55. The availability to go a longer term at about that same rate is out there. I did my research, and it appears that according to people that are involved with this, the rates are probably gonna come down over the next 5 or 7 years. So, with all of the alternative methods and whatnot, that's what the people in the know are projecting. So I think 35 months is a good term. You know, we're saving over what we have now, but again, if that rate drops, we want to be able to take advantage of that. And it does appear that that's the trend. So nobody has a crystal ball. I certainly don't, but that's why I thought the 35-month was the best mix.
I'll make the motion. Throw Mr. Jerry Krimenacher in. Okay, my other question on this was whether we had to put it out for bid. And Toby assured me that it was PUC stuff is,
PUC regulated stuff is typically exempt from public bidding.
so that was my other question, so I have no more. Anybody good? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
I have nothing at time for community relations, curriculum instruction, elementary, middle school, and high school plans. This is for the TSI, a targeting thing from the state. The Board of Education approves the school plans required for elementary school, which is designated as a Title I and TSI Targeted Support and Improvement Plan for our special education population in the middle school, which is also designated as a TSI for our special education plan. The high school plan does not require board approval, but is included as an appendix 4, 4A, 4B, and 4C. All right, anybody, I'm sorry, I'll make the motion. So, Mr. Jen Zenshaw, anybody have questions or comments?
Just a comment,
Go
we're
ahead.
basically under then a probationary period because we're not showing the results that they're expecting here. How long are we held to this, that the state's gonna look over our shoulders to run our program?
I think it's reviewed yearly. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
So maybe by next year we can get out of under
I
their
think
wing?
they review it every year. I agree with you,
Um,
Mara.
May I?
Yes. Yeah.
I just, from what I heard Dr. Song say last time, is that we already, this is based on 2021 information. Based on our last bit of information that is in the state, all of this is gone away. We've met everything, so we have already abolished the need for this in any upcoming years. She's gonna file an appeal once that is made public, and then hopefully we'll have the plan submitted because we have to, but it won't, it's not based on anything current. This is from 2021.
Okay, but when I read it, did say the last 3 years, but there is where I saw that was taken from.
I'm just saying, I remember this from the last
I think the data
meeting.
that she sent us did say 21 on it, 21, 22 or something like that.
Okay.
Just so you know that it's getting better already.
Okay, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Okay, legislation, policy development, be it resolved, the Board of Education approves the adoption of the following new board policies. Policy 234. It was fun to read. I'll make the motion. Second by Mrs. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, all the policy updates in item B, you can read for yourselves. Hazing, bullying, dating, educator, personnel, and compensated leave, all that other stuff. Okay, it's all in your appendixes. I'll make the motion. Second by Mrs. Mark Krimenacher. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I will oppose on that.
Motion carries.
Okay, on personnel and grant tenure, be it resolved, the Board of Education grants professional employee status to the following teachers. You can see them listed there, and this is as they're due. I'll make the motion for that one. Second one, Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments on them? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Congratulations to all of them. Item B, school aid for 5 hours. Be resolved, the Board of Education hires Tara Watson as a 5-hour per day aide at $11.25 per hour, beginning immediately. Motion by Mrs. Mark Krimenacher. Second by Mrs. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I oppose on that one too.
Okay, 5-1 then.
Motion carries.
5-1. Okay, item C is another school aide. Be it resolved, the Board of Education hires Joyce Sherry as a 5-hour per day aide at $11.25 per hour. Motion by Mrs. Mark Krimenacher. Second by Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments?
Is this an existing position?
I couldn't tell you that.
I think there's subs currently, both of them are.
I think they were both subs.
Yeah.
They were both subs, yeah.
Doesn't matter if we're paying a sub, would they be making more as an aide than a sub?
I don't know if you can sub out a job that's open so much for, so. Okay, in fact, you probably can't because of the bargaining agreement, so.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Did you oppose, Jerry, or no?
No,
Okay.
that's why I
The
should
motion
ask.
is seconded.
I should have asked that the first time.
It's
Laura
okay, it's
and
all right, it's
Jen.
still passed, it's still passed. It's good. All right, the Ignite substitute. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves Juliana Leonard as a certified sub-teacher substitute. I'll make that motion. Second by Mr. Jerry Krimenacher. Any questions or comments, guys?
Clearances on file?
I think they were. They came in that they were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for that.
Okay, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
All right, Vector Online Training. Be resolved, the Board of Education approves a contract with Vector for the online training courses for students, teachers, and staff at the annual cost of $1,600. That's for the entire student and for the entire school district. That's not per person who uses it. Okay, just so you understand it. It's one fee. Okay? Motion by Mr. Mark Krimenacher and second by Mr. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
All right, fundraiser calendar, you can read it as at your leisure, you can see it there in front of you. Hopefully it all works out for these kids. I'll make the motion. Mr. Mark Krimenacher, any questions or comments on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Transportation has nothing at this time. Athletics, chiropractic services. Be it resolved, the Board of Education approves Sleepy Chiropractic Family Wellness Center use of the gym to provide treatment to the student athletes on Monday or Thursday evenings. This will require completion of all necessary parent consent forms. I'll make the motion. Let's go to Mrs. Jen Zenshaw. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Jen.
With the use of the gym, in past, there has been a very tight gym schedule, so as long as this is not conflicting with any of our gym schedule, then do we ignore that?
Okay.
Are we held liable for anything with them coming in? Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'd want the chiropractic company to sign a waiver.
Because I don't think we should be doing this. We're working on kids in a school building.
I do not believe that we should prove any kind of healthcare providing in this
No.
school. It should be identify and refer, is
Yes.
what it should be. So, let's do a roll call.
Dr. Krug?
No.
Mrs. Krug?
No?
Mr. Krimenacher?
No.
Mrs. Krimenacher?
No.
Mrs. Lee? No. Ms. Zenshaw?
No?
Motion fails.
Now, this is not, please, don't think that this because they're bad chiropractors. They're not. I just shouldn't be done on school premises.
We're opening the
Okay?
school up for a lawsuit.
So, anyway, I think that they're very, very good, probably. Okay? All right, volunteer assistant coach. Board of Education is hiring Jill Glover as a volunteer assistant girls volleyball coach for this season, as requested by the head coach and I guess interviewed by the athletic director, which I've never known that had to be done before. So, okay, I'll make the motion for that. Second, Mrs. Mark Krimenacher. Any questions or comments?
Clearances?
Only, I think they,
And then
I think
Corinne?
they did, but I never knew an athletic director had to interview a volunteer. It just doesn't make
So
sense
we
to
don't
me.
interview the coaches. do we?
Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, let's pay the bills. Be it resolved, the payment of the bills for the month of September 2024 be approved as presented or amended, received, and filed. I'll make the motion. Doing this is Mark Krimenacher. Any questions or comments? I have one. Did we get the appliances for the room yet?
Yeah,
Did we have a bill for that yet? Because I did not see it in the payment of bills anywhere.
it's just, we just got the bill.
So we'll pay that at the next meeting.
Well, no, we'll pay it because it's been approved.
Okay, how much was it for, do you know?
I can dig it up. I think it was, I want to say almost $5,000.
Okay, good enough, good enough. All right, good enough for me. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Okay, items to be discussed on the cow agenda for next meeting, anybody? I have a big one. I have a big one. Okay. On June 21st of this year, at the cow meeting, Mr. Shell had informed us and kind of reprimanded us that he was going to be resigning, putting a letter of resignation in, and that we should be doing the same because that's the right thing to do. According to the school code, number 3, let's see here, hold on, number 319. If any person having qualified as a school director, or any qualified school director who is a member of the joint board or who is selected as a member of the joint school committee, or who is a member of a joint school committee by virtue of the provisions of a joint board agreement, shall neglect or refuse to attend 2 successive regular meetings of the school board, joint board, or joint committee school meeting, unless detained by sickness or prevented by any absence from the district. That means they're out of the district, or in attendance at any meeting, shall neglect or refuse to act in his official capacity, shall declare his office as director vacant. His office shall be filled from the qualified electors of the district. Basically, our policy says the exact same thing, 2 successive regular meetings. I went through the entire year to date, and he's missed 5 consecutive, well, not 5 consecutive, but 5 cow meetings, and the last 4 consecutive regular voting meetings, which means he's only been present 53% of the time since the beginning of the year, and it's 47% absentee rate. I really believe that even if he showed up now, he has neglected his duties by missing 4 straight regular board meetings, and that we should declare his seat vacant, and we should bring that up at the cow meeting, and then we should appoint someone who's going to be, because we are acting as an 8-member board, not as a 9-member board, and I think we are neglecting our duties by not making us a 9-member board. So that's what I think should be put on for the cow. We need to declare that seat vacant because he's not here. I also need to reappoint the athletic chair position. I'm going to appoint that to Norma Krug at the time and take it from PJ Shell, because there are things coming up in athletics that we can't even discuss with the chair because he's not here. So I'm going to reappoint that position to Norma Krug at the time, okay, until at least such a time I rethink that, okay?
Thanks.
So I'm going to do that right away. You're welcome. But, you know, I mean, as president, I'm a de facto member anyway. So I'm not going to point that to myself. I'm going to point it to her, okay? You've had enough to deal with. You have enough to deal with personnel, and you have enough to deal with finance, okay? She's on curriculum, so. Okay, that's pretty well covered for the beginning of the year, so, okay? So that's why I made that decision. What do you guys think? Put it on?
Yeah.
I think it's our duty to put that on, okay? And I think that even if he would show up just to keep himself on the board at this time, he's neglected it enough now that we can't have that. We should declare that vacant and appoint. So you should come up with someone and you have to pick someone from the electorate. That means the people who live within the district. Okay, it does not have to be someone who ran or anything like that. It's someone who lives in the district who's qualified to run. Okay, they can't live outside the district. They have to live in the district. Bard Township, Northern Cambria, Susquehanna, those kind of things. Am I
We'll
right on
discuss
that?
this in further detail at the cow, correct?
Excuse me?
We'll discuss filling.
Oh, yes,
the
yes, yes.
In the cow.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not on the agenda.
Right,
Okay, this
that's
is
fine.
items for discussion on the agenda.
Okay.
But we're neglecting our duty to act as a 9-member board you're only supposed to do 2 consecutive, I let it go 4. Okay? And 47% miss rate is just not acceptable. It just isn't. Okay? And I haven't gotten anything of them being sick, out of the district or anything. So I'm going to assume that he just didn't come as president. Are they opposed to that? Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I know that I'd like to have discussion of Ginger Jakubowski's appraisal of the high school.
Okay.
I know that Hank has provided Roland with some scales, drawings, and that's what Ginger was asking for. So I'd like to know where we
She
are.
got them,
Okay, so
and we told her the day, she wanted to come a day, then there was no one here. We've already sent out to her her option as to what day she would choose, so it's in her hands.
Okay. So we'll be apprised of what that date is, so that if
I
Yeah.
can find out from her
Yeah.
what she wants to do,
so
but
that if anybody who's on the board wants to attend, I'll be there.
What's the day?
we don't know. We haven't.
I
gotten-
forget, when I submitted the, my email to her.
Well, we'll just make sure we have an update.
Yeah,
on
I've
that
given
day.
her,
Just an
I've
update.
given her, I think when's our next, open day? When the teachers.
October, I'd
Yes,
have to
we
look at
told her
my-
that she could come that day if she wanted, or if she wanted to come any Saturday, that's up to her, because she didn't want to have anyone in the building.
Yeah, I was getting a little concerned because we're getting a little late in the year here and the weather's not gonna be favorable, and this is for the outside areas, the parking areas, I believe, is what she's got to look at, so.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. Anybody else? You good? Okay. Adjournment, be resolved, the board regular meeting of the Northern Cambria School Board for September 18, 2024 be adjourned at 6:42 PM. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Jen Zemchuk. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Motion carries.
Have a good evening, folks.